All right, let's talk about a mystery that I'm pretty sure everyone has experienced. It's a crisis that it defies all logic. It defies laundry baskets. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The strange, baffling case of the vanishing socks. I mean, where do they all go and who or what is behind it all?
For years, we've all pointed the finger at the same culprit, right? The infamous dryer monster. But what if the truth is a little more organized? What if the thief isn't a machine at all, but a fuzzy, incredibly motivated mastermind who's been operating right under our noses this whole time? Well, it's time to finally pull back the curtain on this whole domestic mystery. We've been tracking a person of interest for a while now, and today we're ready to introduce you to our prime suspect.
So let's open up the case file on a character with a very, very particular set of skills and an even more particular obsession.
Here he is, public enemy number one in the ongoing war on matching socks. His name is Tuna. Now, don't let that innocent little face fool you for a second. Behind those eyes is the strategic mind of a truly seasoned collector.
And, Tuna isn't just a suspect. He's practically a willing participant in this investigation. He knows his family is onto his, let's call it a love for socks, but as he says himself, they really have no idea just how deep that love actually goes.
And this slide right here? This reveals his motive. See, it's not just random, it's a carefully curated passion. Just look at this hierarchy. Fuzzy wool socks are at the absolute pinnacle of value. Right below that, pink baby socks. Even super expensive cat toys don't stand a chance. This isn't just theft, my friends. This is connoisseurship.
Okay, so we've got our suspect and we've got a motive. But how does he actually operate? Well, this is where it goes from just being a quirky pet habit to a full-blown criminal enterprise.
And let's be really clear here, this is not just a ferret playing with laundry. No. This is a meticulous, multi-stage plan to acquire every single sock in the house and move them to a secure, off-the-books facility.
You see, he follows a very strict protocol. Step 1, identify the target. Step 2, neutralize distractions, which basically means wait for the humans to be busy. Step 3, secure the asset. And finally, the most crucial step of all, exfiltrate to the hideout. It's professional, it's efficient, and it happens pretty much every single day. And where is this legendary hideout, you ask? Well, you're looking at it. The tiny gap right beneath the dishwasher. It's unassuming, it's dark, and it's a perfectly defensible location to hoard all of his treasures. This is the heart of his entire operation. Now, you might be wondering, how in the world does he even get in there? And this brings us to a really fascinating fact. Ferrets, they're basically furry little escape artists. As long as a gap is wider than their skull, their incredibly flexible body can just follow. So your secure kitchen, to a guy like Tuna, it's just an open-world playground. Tuna's obsession is socks, but honestly, every pet parent has a story like this. For his family, one time it was an entire bag of ciabatta bread. Seriously. It makes you wonder, what's the weirdest thing your pet has ever stolen? But anyway, back to our culprit. Let's see how the authorities finally caught up with him. You know how it goes. Every great crime spree eventually comes to an end. After weeks of just unexplained sock disappearances, the authorities, in this case Mom, finally cracked the case wide open. And this is the moment the raid happens, told straight from the suspect's perspective. He's caught Red Pod on his way to his lair. And what's his biggest concern? It's not getting caught, it's the fact that his carefully organized collection is about to be disturbed. That is a true collector's lament right there. So the family didn't just clean out the hoard, they took serious preventative measures. They went into full-on lockdown mode, determined to shut down that secret lair for good by installing a blockade. But a true mastermind doesn't just give up that easily. Faced with a big foam tube blocking his path, Tuna's response was pure defiance. He immediately started a counter-operation to dismantle the blockade. Yeah, that tube, it really stood no chance. So after the physical barriers failed, management escalated things. They actually served him with an official-looking eviction notice. A bold legal move, for sure, though its effectiveness was, let's say, slightly hampered by the fact that the tenant, quote, would be very upset if I knew what that word meant. So, the blockade was breached, the legal notice was completely ignored, and this brings us to the final chapter of this conflict.
Would the humans finally secure their socks for good, or would this criminal mastermind prove to be truly unstoppable?
Well, the family tried one last time, reinforcing the gap with more foam, more blocks, everything they could find. And for a fleeting moment, it actually seemed like it was over. The headquarters was sealed, the sock heists were done. Tuna looked genuinely defeated. But this is where a good criminal becomes a great one. Adaptation. While the lockdown seemed totally foolproof, Tuna's mind was already formulating a workaround. If you can't access the old headquarters, you just decentralize the entire operation. And just like that, the whole enterprise evolved. He identified brand new, secure locations, behind the nightstand, deep within the couch cushions, even inside a dresser drawer. The single layer was replaced by a whole network of safe houses. The sock thief was back in business, and this time more resilient than ever before. And that brings us to the real solution here. The winning formula wasn't about stopping the crime at all. It was about accepting it. You learn to live with a tiny roommate who happens to have a very specific, thievery-based hobby. And in the end, maybe we can all learn a little something from Tuna's philosophy. It's a message of persistence, of passion, and of finding your own little treasures in the world, even if you have to hide them under the dishwasher. This whole silly, wonderful story leaves us with a kind of a bigger question, doesn't it? When you're faced with an unstoppable, persistent force, whether it's a sock-stealing ferret or a really big challenge in your own life, is the real goal to build a better wall? Or is it maybe to understand that force and just learn how to live alongside it? Something to think about.